over 3 or 4 wins for Washington when I'm looking at them on paper. I mean, the offensive line, you lose Sheriff in the offseason. Sheriff, we already talked about it. But you lose him. I mean, they're thin there. They got tiny wide receivers for a guy like Wentz that's been struggling in multiple areas, accuracy being one of them. I mean, you're talking about playmakers.
Keep it in
when
the
they
trenches.
get in the ball, but
I got them 4-13, Charlie. Keep talking.
Keep it in,
I'm on your side.
Hey,
I got 4-13.
Keep it in the trenches
it's
because
hard.
7-10.
Yeah, their front seven is great.
You got Young coming back. He's still injured.
Yeah, I mean we can
he's
talk
taking
about
it slow,
that. They're awesome front seven. I love Jamin Davis, second year. He's just going to get better.
They added some people too.
But that secondary, besides the St. Juice kid out of Minnesota who made some plays last year for them, it's journeyman guys that they just paid a bunch of money to, and they're just going to get roasted again. Like,
I mean, you're going to see Chase Young come back, and hopefully he can shake this injury and come back to form. I mean, early and often. Otherwise, you're going to have to wait for him to get back, and then when he gets back,
it's just a big ask. I just don't think that defense is good enough.
The
to
secondary
keep them in
was
games.
completely absent the entire season,
and that was their problem when they had the really good defense the year before that. It was like, wow, if we could just stop the pass, like no
Kendall
one would score
Fuller
a point.
and Lennon Collins were doing everything great on the field,
more Landon.
except covering.
no more Landon. No more Landon Collins.
They both had 130 tackles.
There were studs
Collins
in the
had
run
140.
Studs in the run game.
But they couldn't cover. Their completion percentage was in the 90s, 94, 95, like that.
They have spent so much money back there too, and like I said, the draft pick of the St. Jude's kid, I like him. But besides that cupboard is pretty bare with guys that are, in my opinion, being overpaid. And then on the offensive side of the things, the
wide receivers are young.
They got Curtis. They got Curtis Samuel.
Hard.
They still got.
I like the talent, but Wentz had
Logan
trouble.
Thomas only played 6 games.
Logan Thomas injury last
He
year
only
was
played
big
6 games, and
because
then
he was off to a nice year.
Curtis Samuel only played 5 games last year.
And McLaurin's going to get his, no matter what bum they've thrown back there at quarterback for Washington.
I agree.
McLaurin eats and eats and eats, and he just.
I agree.
So he's going to do his thing. It's just tough because that offense does not strike me as being prolific, fast paced. That doesn't make sense with a Ron Rivera type of team. But that's the pieces that you have with a Gibson and Samuel and Dotson. You draft Dotson, those aren't big guys.
Well, check this. They threw it to. McLaurin 162 targets on the season, and they threw that to him more than 100 more targets than any other receiver on the team. The next person up was Antonio Gibson.
Rightfully so.
I mean,
and that's got to change. And you had Dami Brown, right, out of North Carolina. They
Dami
drafted
Brown, Cam Sims out of Alabama. They've tried a little bit. They've definitely missed. Maybe Dami, second year, maybe he can produce a little bit, but he's just more of a big play type of dude. And the deep balls I was seeing out of Wentz's hand last year, luckily Pittman was there to go jump and get them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they don't have a big body like that. So it's Washington. It's hard to find some silver lining for them. I mean, I do like Gibson a lot.
And injuries taking effect too. I mean, who's to say Wentz doesn't get hurt again and then Heineke has to come back in? That might be a better situation.
And we've seen the show though. But we've seen the show. He's good. He's a serviceable dude, but he's not the guy.
20 touchdowns, 15 picks, 85.9 rating.
I mean, give the guy a shot.
He leaves it all out on the field.
Give him a shot.
You can't ask for anybody
give him a couple
anything
seasons.
more from a guy from Dartmouth. You know what I mean?
Give a guy a couple seasons. Give a guy a couple seasons.
I wanted to jump back to the Cowboys real quick. A couple of key things that they had going on too. A couple guys we didn't talk about. Cedric Wilson's also gone.
Yep.
Dalton Schultz is still there. Obviously, CeeDee Lamb, who's probably their number one now, clearly 1,100 yards last season. Gallup only played 9 games last year too, so look for him to come back too. So that's another big thing for them.
Yeah, that's huge. He has to come back and stay healthy.
He's got to be a solid 2.
He can't come back and be.
And he's just used to being a 3.
And he can't come back. He can't come back and be Sterling Shepard. He has to come back and he has to be Amani Toomer. He has to play.
Randy Gregory's also gone. Dorrance Armstrong, who only played 5 games last year but had 5 sacks.
Mm-hmm.
He's taken over so he should fit in just nice for Randy Gregory. I think it's a downgrade still, but the guy has potential.
Well, Gregory, as much as he did bring spark and aggressiveness to that D line, he also was chief guilt party in their loss to San Francisco because he jumped off sides. I think I counted like 5 times that game.
Wow.
Undisciplined, and you got to have guy, I'll take a little bit less if you're not costing me what you're costing me. Yeah. So I don't think the Gregory thing, and they've got some other good pieces there, and then they've got the ability to line Micah Parsons every now and then on the edge too. So the defense didn't look like it took much of a step back, but at the wide receiver room for Dallas, somebody's going to have to step up, whether it's Noah Brown. Watching the Cowboys last year, they were really just a straightforward team, though. It was pound you with the rock. It was little play action.
Yep.
And it was a lot of Dalton Schultz.
Right there,
a lot of Dalton Schultz.
Yep.
And Dak was just making good decisions the whole year. He really, besides that playoff game where he really couldn't find somebody open, he didn't make. I never watched a real bad game from him. He made good, clean decisions and didn't turn the ball over a lot. So, I mean, they're going to have to come together, and maybe they end up reaching, if it doesn't work out, maybe they sign an Odell Beckham or maybe a Fuller. Fuller's still a free agent. I think that would be a good add. He doesn't stay around for long, but if you can get him at a decent price and put him as your 3 and put him out on the field the way he can get deep,
Beckham's
at least it gives the defense reason for pause.
He's not coming back for a while. Yeah. I mean,
immediate help. This is what they got.
Right,
it's good. Right. They're going to have to navigate it with defense and run game and smart ball placement by Dak. But I think he's proven that he can do that. It was kind of more the correlation with that whole thing.
Right.
I want to know Nick's thoughts. Talk to me about your expectations for Jalen Hurts going into this season.
Well, I wanted to give you real quick. I'll answer your question, but I got my ceiling prediction for the boys at 13-4.
Okay.
And then I got a floor prediction for them at 8-9 with a sweep from the Eagles. I really got them 1-1. I think they're gonna go 1-1.
Split it. That'd be big for the Eagles. That.
But if they could, with a sweep from the Eagles and losses to teams like the Colts down the stretch, the Bucks, Packers, Cincy, Rams, all teams are going to struggle again. So there is the potential for them to struggle too down the stretch. I think they can possibly go 8-9. I think they're leaning more towards the 13-4 though.
I had them as a 11-12 win team. I think that is a tough schedule that they got. They have a couple extra on there that the rest of the division doesn't, like the Bengals and stuff like that. So yeah, they're gonna have some tough matchups. But they played very well. I mean, opening game on the road in Tampa last year, that was a field goal game, and that was Dak's first game off of there. They played very competitively against the Chiefs in KC. They had a great year last year. It was sad to see them flounder like they did at the end because they really did have a good team. Eagles, what's your ceiling floor for them?
Ceiling and floor for the Eagles. My floor is for them also 8-9, and I got a ceiling of 13-4. Same thing as the boys. It's very possible. As far as what you asked me about Hurts, what was your question about Hurts?
What's your expectations for Jalen Hurts this year? What do you want to see for you to be like, hey,
well, he needs to improve in his pass game, finishing with 16 touchdowns and 9 picks.
How many attempts?
Well, I don't have the attempts written down. I don't have that right now, but I know that he also had acceptable numbers with an 87.2 passer rating, and then 7.3 yards per attempt, per pass attempt. He definitely has to improve in the pass game. I think all 5 starters on the O-line are coming back. I think we started off slow. It was a 2-5 season. We started off
trying to find yourself.
We were trying to find that identity. We found ourselves with the run game, and it kind of opened up for Hurts. Hurts started getting points down on the ground. Finished with a little over 600 rushing yards, 10 touchdowns, and
432 attempts.
Yeah, I think they were
432
30th or 31st in pass attempts a game.
265 completions, 432 attempts. Not bad. That's half, right?
Well, they were bad. Like I said, they were 31st in pass attempts as a team last year.
And the O-line,
61% on completion percentage.
The O-line was ranked third best in the PFF rankings and ranked 6th in sacks allowed, and the whole group is coming back.
Yes, that offensive line was beast. They were top 3 last year.
5th in fewest turnovers, 4th best on third down. Our defense was a little more shaky, but we've plugged in so many pieces. Brendan Graham is coming back healthy. When Brendan Graham is there healthy, he can count on him for double-digit sacks. 6 games. And then you got Josh Sweat coming off a Pro Bowl season. He had 11 sacks. Then you got Fletcher Cox, who's, yes, he's probably on his last leg, you know what I'm saying, but he's still a force to be reckoned with. He only finished with 3.5, but he had a touchdown.
He's a guy you got to account for, though, still.
100%. You have to. 100%. We got Hassan Reddick, who had 11 sacks and 68 tackles last year. We have...
for the Panthers?
From the Panthers, we got Javon Hargrave, who had a 7.5 sacks, 63 tackles, and 18 QB hits.
From the Bucks?
We got Alex Singleton, who's gone. He had 137 tackles last year, which usually hurts losing a guy like that, unless you sign Kaiser White, who had 144 tackles, 2 picks, and 2 forced fumbles from the Chargers.
No, he's from the Chargers.
Who will pair nice with TJ Edwards, another tackle-hungry guy who finished with 130
Where's
tackles.
he from? 'Cause I was watching
TJ Edwards. He's been with us for a while. I don't know what college he went to, but he's been with the Eagles for a minute.
Was that his first year as a starter last year?
It's been all over the place, our linebacking core the last few years, but he's been in and out. Alex Singleton ultimately took the throne over that, but he shined out last year, so now he's in. And then we got Kaiser White, Hassan Reddick on the outside.
Oh yeah, lots of new pieces, lots of talented, athletic pieces.
And then the ceiling for Jordan Davis, I'm not going to get too much into it. It's more like prove it to me, but I'm in love with Jordan Davis and the whole pick. I couldn't ask for a better pick as an Eagles fan.
I just questioned the one thing that no one ever questioned about Mount Cody, which was out of Alabama, D tackle, first-round draft pick for the Baltimore Ravens. Was a massive man. Was a huge yeoman. Okay, I forget what his stat was. No one gained any yards on him when he was at Alabama. No one got past him, and he got drafted to the Baltimore Ravens. He didn't even play an entire season because he just could not stay on the field. He was just literally too tired. And they say that about Jordan Davis. In the very final game of the year, Alabama, Georgia.
Yeah, they were running up tempo to try and tire him out.
The last play of the game, he wasn't even in on because he was too tired. He was on the bench.
Alabama was purposely trying to play up tempo that game to wear him out specifically. But the good thing about the Eagles in this situation is he doesn't have to be in there 3 downs.
Right,
exactly. That's been our identity
in situational
line.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I think he's really going to be successful.
I agree.
It's just totally going to be. But I'm just saying that's the if you want to, if we're talking knocks and we're saying why didn't Jordan Davis go in Trayvon Walker's spot? Maybe that's why.
Sure.
Maybe that could be why.
Well, some of these kids got to learn how to be professionals and learning from a guy right next to you in Fletcher Cox on how to do work and how to be around for 10 years in your career.
He's in a perfect position.
I agree.
And the same with our second round pick with Cam Jurgens.
Nakobe Dean.
Cam Jurgens was our second round pick. We got him in the third round. The center, he's coming up behind one of the best centers in the game,
for sure.
Jason Kelsey, who's probably got a year or 2 left, maybe. He's a beast, so
let's
probably
just get past
this year.
Let's just get past this year. He's injured.
You got this guy, and you got this guy who you're saying he's a beast already. I've seen him in practice. They call him the what do they call him?
Talking about Nakobe Dean?
No, Cam Jurgens.
Oh.
They got a nickname for him. I read it, but I can't think of it.
My concern with the Eagles when I was looking at the roster, obviously, what is Jalen Hurts going to do? And then after that, it was the depth in the secondary. On paper, the starters look pretty good. I'm kind of questioning who's going to be free safety. I was going to ask you that question on who your preference is.
Marcus Epps he's the one shining right now. He's the one who's probably going to take it as of now. It looks like it.
But behind those guys, I didn't see a whole lot of, that guy can step in. I know you were a fan of Avonte Maddox, and he had a pretty good year last year.
Yep,
that's your nickel back, but it wasn't that was the weakest part of the team that I could see.
Harris
because I feel like
was a good pickup we got last year from the Vikings.
Yeah, he played very well,
and he played solid. He wasn't what we were expecting from him, but he played solid. Another one from Avonte Maddox, we're good. But as far as depth goes, he's definitely right. Marcus Epps has got to step it up and get that starting role as the free safety. Avonte Maddox, like I said, he kind of struggled with a little bit of injuries too, but he was solid last year. but that's something that's that you deal with down the stretch. When it happens, you can't.
Oh, absolutely.
You can't prevent an injury from happening when it happens.
Looking at the Eagles, they look a lot better than they did last year, and I feel a lot better about them. Like my ceiling, I was going through the schedule, and I was like, man, they could win 12, 13 games.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be tough. I was talking to Eddie before you got here.
It'd have to be a sweep on Dallas, Giants, and Commanders. It'd have to be all 6 of those.
Well, the start of the season is pretty favorable. It's Detroit, it's Minnesota, and then Washington, I think, is game 3. Like, I could see you guys starting off hot, but the back end of the schedule, dog days, all that stuff, like, that's where the Colts are. That's where the Packers are. That's when your second matchup with the boys are. And how do y'all end up finishing and stuff? But I like the Eagles.
With the identity already figured out, I think we're gonna come in opposite of last year. We started 2-5. I think we can start 5-2, and we just keep it rolling.
For sure. Giants side, what's a good season for Daniel Jones for you?
Not finishing last in the league, and Barkley playing, if not all the games, at least 13 games. You know what I mean? Because the record doesn't matter.
Sure.
We need growth, and we need to move in a certain direction. And I mean, like, if you don't finish last in the division, then I think that is a successful win. Even if that's winning 5 games this year, and Washington wins 4, I feel like that's success.
I would agree.
I don't think that the overall number matters. I think as long as we come out and contend. You know what I mean? Like, and Daniel Jones has a good year.
Well, that's what I'm asking about. Yeah, what's a good year for Daniel Jones?
Daniel Jones, a good year for Daniel Jones would be 4,000 yards. Mm-hmm. Okay, because he's thrown for 3. All right, 400 yards was the most he's ever thrown in any game, and it was last year, and it was against New Orleans, and it never happened.
One of the best secondaries in the league. And
it never happened again. So I just think that, if all of these things don't happen, like if all 5 offensive linemen don't hit, if the wide receivers, like Nick was saying, can't stay healthy, and Sterling Shepard's not there, and Galladay's not there, and Tony's not there. Now you're looking at Wan'Dale Robinson, Jamie.
Are you a believer in Daniel Jones? Is he a product of some
dad
coaching and some?
It's super hard. This is the hot seat.
It's super hard to say that he is and isn't, because you watch him make the throws. Mm-hmm. You watch him outrun defenders. You watch him do things that nobody else in the league can do. You've seen him do it, right? He hasn't done it enough, but you've seen him do it, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, to be completely honest with you, it's like, it's going to be sad, because if he can't do it this year, he's gone. There's no question about it, right? He's gone, right? But is he gone because the offensive line didn't do good, or because he didn't
never get it right in front of him?
But I mean, if the offensive line, I mean, look, for him to stay and for anyone to say he's successful, he's got to win some games. You got to win some games. Sure. I mean, he's 3,000 yards.
11 games, 10 touchdowns. You need more than that.
Yeah. Especially that was his 4th year in the league.
Yeah.
He's
7
pretty
picks.
much been starting.
He cleaned up his turnover ratio. The Giants did all together.
This is the 5th year, and they denied the 5th year. So he's done after this season.
So you go out there and prove it.
And if we really don't see him do something crazy, then he's
Brian
done.
Dable,
and then it's like,
got a lot of work to do with these boys.
And it's like, to me, it's like we're right back where we were.
Sure. I don't
know. We'll see what happens.
I like a lot of what the Giants have. I want to see him be healthy. I personally feel like Saquon's going to have a little bit of a bounce back year. I think the offense as a whole is hopefully going to manufacture some more points and be a little bit more consistent on the offensive side and give the defense maybe a little bit of a break this year. So there was far too many times last season where it seemed like the defense was right back on the field, and they were holding their own for the first half of ball games, and they just needed points, touchdowns from the offense. So hopefully Dable comes over and he's able to, be the QB whisperer that everybody's kind of talked about, and he's able
we've done that year after year.
Some things for Daniel Jones and bring in a different kind of offensive approach.
McAdoo was the whisperer for Green Bay. And Aaron Rodgers.
3.7 average yards a carry for Saquon is not okay, and that's a lot to do with
Shermer was the whisperer for Teddy Bridgewater and that whole mess over there and all them guys that ended up going to all these. Bro, listen, bro.
Giants been trying for a while.
It's so much more. We need to do so much more than it just be Daniel Jones have a good season in order for the team to be.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's a lot, bro. But I think it's not as much as Washington. It's my story. I'm sticking to it.
I think that's fair.
Very fair.
Anything else that we want to touch on division wise? I mean, we're all kind of seeing a break at this point in the season, kind of similar to each other. Are we thinking this is a 2 playoff team division? I personally think the chances are pretty high that Dallas and Philly both make the playoffs this year, whether it's 1-2, 2-1.
I could see it. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I definitely could see that.
Nick,
but I also could see
game,
just
baby.
one. I could also just see. I mean, they two did it last year, but I very well could see this year one only making it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
With
one.
So I kind of like 2 from this division because the rest of the divisions I got 1 team coming out of them, and then there's like one other division I got like a 2-team division coming out. I was pretty sure on the other divisions who I had winning the division. This was really the only one where I had Eagles and Giants Eagles and Cowboys like right there. But even still, I have the Cowboys taking it. But
that would have been a typo if you wrote that.
Brady would have held you to it.
Hell yeah.
All right. I'd say that wraps up the East. Unless we've got some other talking points, any other questions, who's a first year guy that you guys are looking forward to seeing, or a second year guy that you're looking forward to seeing out of this division?
Devontae Smith, baby.
Devontae Smith,
70% completion percentage when the ball is thrown his way, right under 1,000-yard season. Now he pairs up with A.J. Brown, who's used to kind of a team who likes to keep it on the ground, kind of like we do. Yeah, I'm ready for him to ball out.
How about you, Ed? Who are you looking forward to seeing?
I really want to see Ellerson Smith out of Eastern Iowa, or
what's he running with so far in camp? Is he running with the 1s or the 2s?
I haven't even seen him out there. I haven't even seen him in action, but
Gotcha.
He's coming back from playing a couple games last year, but basically for the most part being injured all beginning of the year. And 6'6", 6'7", DN, and that's our position in need. Like we
for sure
need
in that 3-4.
Like, I think Quincy Roche, Miami Hurricane, drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers and then released 25 minutes after they signed him. And the Giants picking up, that was like our diamond in the rough. Like, I mean, he led the league and led the team in sacks last year. I expect him to come back and still be that solid rotational guy. I expect that from him. I don't even think that's something I think I need to see. I just want Ojulari to stay healthy.
He gets to pair up with Thibodeau now.
We got a hamstring issue.
Yeah, on
already,
paper,
so.
it's
8
interesting.
sacks last year.
It's interesting what you guys have on that front 7.
Yeah, because I mean, if Ellerson Smith, right, whether he plays left or right,
Dexter Lawrence
can stay healthy. Now you're talking about, you got Leonard Williams, stud. Dexter Williams, stud.
Yep.
You have no idea what you're going to get in Thibodeau. You're hoping, right? Top 5 pick. We're hoping this guy's going to be a stud, and he's going to come out and he's going to play like defensive ends of old. He's 6'5". He fits the bill. That was 6'5" Notre Dame, Justin Tuck. 6'5" Boston College, Matthias Kiwanuka. 6'5". Michael Strahan, all on the same squads. OCU Miura at a Troy 6'3". That was the rotation going in.
I feel like that's what you got to have. You've got to have the rotation similar to what Philly's
Well, that's why I said
there.
how important Ellerson Smith is, right? How important could he be, right? I mean, they were even. I even seen them dropping homeboy out of Cincinnati, 4th round, 5th round pick.
Beavers,
linebacker out of Cincinnati that we drafted, 250-pounder, 6'4" linebacker that they were dropping down playing DN. So it's going to be interesting to see. I want to see Ellerson Smith in the mix, though. It's a big body, he's a big dude. I hope he's explosive and he has a good camp, maybe a good preseason. But I'm going to be looking out for him because if he hits, right, coming back from this injury, and he hits, that rotation, you start naming names like Ojulari getting down in there. You know, I just said Quincy Roche.
Yeah, you're going to definitely need contributions from everybody on the team when you're a team that's trying to fight their way out of this hole. Every piece is going to have to perform and be available. Robinson
on the boundary at a UCF cornerback 6'1" that we had drafted prior to the season that we're starting this one. I just think, you know, there's so many names that you could start naming. Like, is it going to be Andrew Thomas this year, Pro Bowl? Is he going to play elite level this year?
Well, this is his third year now.
Yeah.
Andrew Thomas.
Is it going to be this year now? I mean, it's a new system. I don't know. We'll see.
All right. That does it for the East.
Cool.
Thank you guys for listening.
Yeah, we'll get you guys on the next episode. Make sure you guys go ahead and hit that follow and subscribe button for us. That helps us out a lot. Catch us on Spotify, YouTube,
Instagram.
So, yeah, just go ahead and hit that follow button for us.
Running Routes Podcast.